All right, in this explainer, we're going to break down a single, incredibly powerful idea from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. It's an idea that's behind some of the biggest fortunes ever made, yet, our brains are just not wired to understand it. That idea is compounding. So let's dive right in. So let me ask you, what do you think is the real secret to legendary investing? Is it being a genius? Making that one perfect moonshot stock pick? Maybe it's some crazy complex algorithm? We tend to think it's all about skill or raw intelligence. But what if the real secret is way simpler than that? What if it has more to do with your behavior than your brains? The answer to that question is really the heart of this chapter, and I promise it's going to change how you think about building wealth. Okay, let's start with a fact that just sounds completely absurd. When this book was written, Warren Buffett's net worth was about $84.5 billion. But look at this number, $81.5 billion. That's how much of his fortune he earned after he turned 65. That's over 96% of his entire wealth. I mean, think about it. Most people are retiring at that age, and he was basically just getting started. How on earth is that even possible? Well, the reason that number feels so wrong, so impossible, is that our minds just aren't built for it. We think in straight lines, linearly. But the force that built Buffett's wealth is exponential. And that psychological blind spot is the key to everything. Once you understand it, you unlock the secret to his success. And that's the core lesson we're going to unpack. To really wrap our heads around this, Morgan Housel gives us this brilliant analogy from geology, how an ice age is formed. See, an ice age doesn't happen because of one super cold winter. It happens because for thousands and thousands of years, the summers are just a little bit cooler than usual, just cool enough that not all of the winter's snow melts away. That tiny little leftover bit of snow gets packed down, and the next year, a little more gets added on top. You do that for millennia, and that tiny, consistent, almost invisible change results in entire continents being buried under miles of ice. It's a massive, world-changing outcome from a very small, sustained force. In the world of finance, that tiny, sustained force is compounding. It's the ice age effect, but for your money. It's not just that your investments earn a return, it's that your returns start earning their own returns. And then those returns start earning even more. It's this incredible snowball effect where a small, consistent gain, if you just leave it alone for a long, long time, produces results that are so massive, they feel like magic. This is the engine that drove Warren Buffett's fortune. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates why this is so hard for us to grasp. Look at the left side. If I ask you to add 8 to itself 9 times, you can probably do that in your head. It's 72. That's linear thinking. It's intuitive. Now look at the right. If I ask you to multiply 8 by itself 9 times, your brain just short circuits. The answer is over 134 million. We're all walking around thinking in a linear world, but wealth is built in an exponential one. And that mismatch is exactly why we underestimate the power of compounding. So to really hammer this point home, let's look at a tale of two investors. It's a story that really pits pure, raw genius against something that sounds a lot less exciting: time. So on one side, you have Warren Buffett, the legend himself. On the other, a guy named James Simons, a brilliant mathematician who runs a hedge fund called Renaissance Technologies. Now here's the crazy part. If you just look at their average annual returns, Simons is, without a doubt, the single greatest investor who has ever lived. His performance completely blows Buffett's out of the water. Okay, now just look at these numbers. Simons averaged an unbelievable 66% return every single year. Buffett, who is still a phenomenal investor, averaged around 22%. That's a third of Simons' return. And yet Buffett's net worth is more than 4 times bigger. So how? How can the investor with the lower return end up so much richer? It just doesn't seem to add. And the answer has nothing to do with the rate of return. It's all about the runway. Buffett's secret weapon, his superpower, was that he started investing when he was just a kid, at 10 years old. That gave him a 75-year runway for compounding to work its insane magic. Simons, for all his genius, didn't really hit his investing stride until he was 50. He had less than half the time for his incredible returns to compound. And just to really appreciate the insane power of time, look at this number. It's just a fun thought experiment, right? But if James Simons had been able to earn his 66% annual returns for the same 75 years as Buffett, his net worth would be, well, it's $63 quintillion. The number itself is meaningless, it's so big. But the point is to show you how a longer time horizon magnifies returns into something totally unimaginable. And that brings us right to the central idea of this entire chapter. Good investing is not a race to earn the highest possible returns, because those are usually one-time flukes, or they involve taking on massive risks that you can't repeat. No, real, sustainable wealth creation is about earning pretty good, repeatable returns that you can stick with for the longest possible time. That is when compounding truly gets to run wild. Housel jokes that the most effective investing book ever written could just be called Shut Up and Wait. And he's not wrong. The message is crystal clear. The real work isn't about frantic trading or finding some secret strategy. It's about having the discipline to let time and compounding do all the heavy lifting for you. So, if this force is so incredibly powerful, why do we always overlook it? Well, for one, it's just counterintuitive. Our brains aren't built for it. We also focus on the things we think we can control right now, like chasing the next hot stock, instead of focusing on the one variable that matters most: time. Plus, let's be honest, it just sounds too boring to be the real answer. You're never going to see a best-selling book about Buffett called "This Guy Has Been Investing Consistently for 3/4 of a Century." It just doesn't sell. So, what does all of this actually mean for you? Well, it means you need to completely reframe how you think about your own financial journey. Your single most powerful asset isn't how much money you make, it's not your IQ, it's your timeline. It is the amount of time you have in front of you to let your savings and your investments grow. So, how do you actually put this into practice? It's really simple. Step 1, start now, today. The length of your timeline is everything. Step 2, aim for pretty good returns, not home runs. A boring index fund that you hold for 30 years is going to beat a risky bet that you abandon after a year. Step 3, be relentlessly, boringly consistent. And finally, step 4, and this is crucial, don't interrupt the process. Pulling your money out of the market is like digging up an oak tree sapling every week to check on the roots. You just have to let it grow. And all of this leaves us with one final critical question that you should ask yourself. Where is your focus? Are you constantly trying to be a better investor, chasing those higher returns and trying to outsmart the market? Or are you focused on simply being an investor for longer? Because as this chapter makes incredibly clear, the answer to that one question is going to make all the difference in the world.